Be forced to retire or be forced out of position, but one way or the other, you've got to go. That is the message the former ATF deputy director heard loud and clear. Joining us now to discuss is AmmoLand reporter John Crump. John, thanks for being here tonight.
Thank you for having me on.
Great. So Marvin Richardson is out at ATF. He's been there for many decades. He even made it to acting director under Biden. What are the reasons you are hearing for why he's out?
Well, he has been responsible for some of the worst decisions in ATF history. For example, one of the rulings that he had was the whole pistol brace ban, which is probably going away, where they try to pass a rule to ban pistols equipped with braces. He was also responsible for the frames and receiver ruling and a lot of bad ruling. Also, he was at Waco back in the 90s, and he actually got a medal for being at Waco. He's also a Biden yes man, and he did whatever the White House told him to do without pushing back.
When you tell me he got a medal for being with at Waco and he's part of the ATF, I just all the red alarms, or all the red flags, right? They all started raising. So I want to ask you, when you talk about the pistol braces, now explain for the audience exactly what they are, because to my knowledge, it actually helps a lot of disabled veterans and others be able to shoot guns that otherwise they wouldn't be able to handle.
Yeah, the pistol braces were developed by a company called SB Tactical and a man named Alex Bosco. He developed it because one of his friends had a disability, a combat vet, and did not have complete control of his arm. So he developed a pistol brace that attaches to an AR style pistol that wraps around his forearm, and it enables him to control the firearm without losing control.
It's just odd to me, right, that all these rules that come out of the ATF, they never seem to target gangbangers. And when I think about gun violence, I think about gangbangers, and it never seems to really target them. It seems to target law-abiding, patriotic Americans, in this case, disabled veterans and others. It's almost as if there's a war on the Second Amendment, as President Trump has called out, and he's currently trying to rectify. Now, under President Trump's predecessor, obviously speaking about Joe Biden, Marvin Richardson, I believe, right, he played a role in Biden and his administration revoking the federal firearms licenses of many gun shops, correct, over just even minor clerical errors. Could you speak to that as well?
Sure. They enabled something called zero tolerance, which has thankfully been rolled back. And they were pulling gun stores licenses for like little errors, like a transposed number, or someone who didn't sign their full name. Maybe they left out their middle name, or there's a misspelling on there. So for any little reason, they were pulling people's licenses and shutting down different gun stores across the country. Now they're going back and reviewing every gun store that was shut down under zero tolerance and reissuing those licenses. But a lot of those gun stores lost their place of business, so they're not going to reopen. During the Biden administration, revocations of FFL's federal firearms licenses went up by 500%, which was the largest increase in history.
Now, that's an incredible figure to hear. And I also want to cite part of your article at AmmoLand about this to you and get you to flesh it out a little for the audience. So you write here that before President Biden took office, Richardson complained that the ATF didn't have the political capital to go after pistol braces, as we were talking about earlier. But he was hopeful that it would have the political capital once Biden started issuing anti-gun proclamations. And Mr. Richardson was right. And that's, of course, what you write in your article. And I think it just speaks to something about our government, a certain type of poison, right, where you have certain politicians and they'll create a crisis, and then these government agencies that wanted to act anyway, they go, oh, perfect, I'll just use that as my excuse to do what I was going to do anyway, and they're acting in tandem. We saw Biden do that as well when going after parents at school board meetings. So I was wondering if you could speak to the audience about that, because one thing that Biden always said, and it always bothered me, and he would talk about our rights, specifically the Second Amendment, and say no right is absolute, but he would say it so ominously. So speak to that as well.
Yeah, before Biden was elected, Marvin Richardson tried to go after pistol braces. He actually ordered the ATF to issue cease and desist letters to several companies that were making pistols equipped with braces. The Trump Justice Department at the time made him withdraw those C and D letters, but that is when he made the comment that he hopes if Biden got elected, that they would have the political capital to go after pistol braces. In fact, 2 days after the election, I think it was 2 days after the election was over, Marvin Richardson met secretly without Trump's knowledge with the Biden transition team when they asked him what are his two pressing issues that he would like to see rectified under Biden. He said pistol braces and frames and receivers. And the Biden executive orders targeted those two items. So he had a hand in all of that.
Now, of course, there's a lot of cleaning house to be done when it comes to the ATF. Your article also mentions, I have here, the ATF Chief Counsel, Pam Hicks. She's also been dismissed by President Trump. So is that another step in the right direction as far as you're concerned?
Absolutely. Pam Hicks was probably the most anti-gun person at the ATF. Pam Hicks was the darling of Everytown, Guilford, and Brady. She was in constant communication with the anti-gun group. Her replacement is more pro-gun. In fact, he used to teach a class on Second Amendment rights. And Marvin Richardson's replacement is a guy named Rob Sakata, who was way more pro-Second Amendment than Richardson was. So we're seeing some positive steps at the ATF. How far will it go? I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see how far they take it, but they are moving in the right direction.
And that's my last question for you then tonight here. Dan Driscoll, now acting head of the ATF. Is that an appointment that you're happy about?
My feeling on that is I have to see exactly what he does. He doesn't really have a solid record on guns. He did say in his primary campaign that he was going to defend the Second Amendment, but he really hasn't been in a position to state his opinion on guns publicly. So we're going to have to wait and see what he does. But with the changes that are happening and some of the changes that they are already making, I am hopeful that he will be able to clean house. And I don't think we've seen everyone that's going to get fired been fired already. I think there's more to come.
Well, then I guess we'll have to have you on for that. John, thanks for joining us.
For all our viewers asking where One America News is heading in the future, we would like to introduce you to OAN Live. OAN Live is the best way to stay up to date on all of the hard-hitting, straight-shooting, national and international headlines. And the best part is, OAN Live is only $4.99 per month. All the credible, honest, unbiased reporting One America News offers at a fraction of the cost of cable. Just go to OANN.com to easily sign up for OAN Live and stay informed.